The prophet Jeremiah recorded God's promise to recompense Israel double for her sins. Jeremiah 16:18. Today, we will uncover the exact mathematical symmetry of this astonishing timeline to see how flawlessly God keeps His word. Welcome to episode 3 of God's Chosen People. You will see that the Bible is a book of profound order, and God's timeline is exact. History is not just a sequence of random events. Instead, it is a meticulously drafted blueprint. Every epoch, every transition, and every period of divine favor is measured with perfect symmetry. To truly understand biblical prophecy, we must learn to recognize the importance of time in all God's dealings with humanity. The word double, found in our common version of the Bible, does not mean twice as much, but rather an equal portion. Here we see the two houses, fleshly Israel and spiritual Israel. The Jewish age represents the period of God's favor upon the physical descendants of the patriarch Jacob. The Christian age represents the period of favor and high calling to believers following the sacrifice of the Messiah. What is absolutely fascinating is that the timeline of the second house is an exact mathematical reflection of the first, that is, an equal portion. Let us look at the first span. The history of the Jewish nation naturally began at the death of Jacob when he gave his blessing to his sons. It is the first time that the 12 sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, are referred to as the 12 tribes of Israel. See Genesis 49:28. This date and year of Jacob's death is BC 1813. From that moment, Israel experienced a period of waiting for the kingdom under divine favor, which extended all the way to the death of the Messiah in the spring of AD 33. This gives us a precise period of 1,845 and a half years. Now, notice the parallel. The second span, the Christian age, begins right where the first span ended, at AD 33. If we count forward an exact double, equal period of 1,845 and a half years, it brings us to AD 1878. The prophet Zechariah, speaking from the standpoint of Jesus the King presenting himself to the Jews, foretold of this double also in Zechariah 9:12, urging them to turn their stronghold, the Anointed One, Christ Jesus, but they rejected him. The year 1878, the very year of the Berlin Conference, where a Hebrew representative, Benjamin Disraeli, himself a Jew, and the only Jewish prime minister in the history of England, took a place of honor as the leading spirit. Moreover, the decisions of that conference had a weighty influence in the affairs of God's chosen people. Under the ruling of that conference, of the great powers of Europe, the various Balkan states divided the Turkish Empire, where divisions were placed under the supervision of the governments, whose interests were contiguous. The effect of those decisions made at that conference proved favorable, marking the beginning of opportunities for the Jews to return to the land of promise. Visually, the double is represented in a perfectly balanced arc shapes. The 1,845 years from the death of Jacob to the cross exactly mirrors the 1,845 years from the cross to the closing of the general call of favor to the Gentiles. The prophet Isaiah recognized that favor would return to Israel after the period of disfavor ended, the second arc, proclaimed in Isaiah 40 verses 1 and 2. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. She hath received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. Her time of waiting has come to an end. Let's zoom in on the end of the Jewish age. From AD 29 to AD 33, a period of exactly 3.5 years, the Messiah presented himself as king to fleshly Israel. The prophet Zechariah saw this very day when he prophesied in Zechariah 9:9, Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. This was the turning point. In a perfect parallel, we look at the end of the Christian age. We see another exact 3.5-year period from AD 1874 to AD 1878. This marks the parallel of Messiah's invisible presence and arrival to spiritual Israel, maintaining the flawless chronological symmetry. You see, the transition out of divine favor is never instantaneous. It is a carefully measured multi-year process. It is divided precisely by significant chronological milestones, the initial 3.5 years, followed by another 3.5 years, and concluding with a final 33 years. For fleshly Israel, this favorable period of harvest ran from AD 33 to AD 70. AD 36 marked the precise endpoint of special favor to Israel following the king's arrival. This entire 40-year period was a time of gathering the final faithful from fleshly Israel before their national polity was completely destroyed by Titus's armies, beginning AD 69 and AD 70. Correspondingly, the favorable time of Christian harvest spans from AD 1878 to AD 1915. The year AD 1881 marks the precise point ending the first 7 years following the parallel arrival. This is the context for the gathering of and call to spiritual Israel to separate themselves from the corrupt nominal Christian systems styled Babylonish systems, bringing the age of special Christian favor to its conclusion. The terminal date for the Jewish harvest was AD 70, marking a time of trouble and final overthrow for the nation. Jesus himself had warned them, as recorded in Matthew 23:38, "Your house is left unto you desolate." Luke 21:22 describes this perfectly. "For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled." Looking at the second half of our mirror, the terminal date for the end of the favorable time for Christian separation from nominal Babylon would begin to close in AD 1915. Just as natural Israel fell, so nominal Babylon, nominal Christendom and its kingdoms, fell with the great war that followed. This brings the parallel days of vengeance, described in Daniel 12:1 as a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. This trouble continues in the present religious and political upheaval now upon peoples and nations. Here is the complete blueprint laid out before you. From BC 1813 to AD 1915, you can see the perfect symmetry across millennia. Every period of favor, the exact turning point of the cross, and the parallel days of vengeance beginning on the end date of each period. This precise alignment of both the houses of Israel, down to the very year, demonstrates undeniably that history is not unguided. The same hand that measured out the favor, the harvest, and the beginning point of the days of vengeance for fleshly Israel has exactly measured the timeline for spiritual Israel. The blueprint is exact, the prophecies are absolutely sure, and the measure of time belongs to God alone. This is not an accident. It is the magnificent unfolding plan of the Creator honoring His word. Thank you for watching. Would you like to know more? Like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to share this with your friends. And may God bless you.